Bandicoot!
Back in the 90s, there was one character who made speed feel cool. While Mario was jumping through colorful worlds, Sonic was blasting through loops at lightning speed with attitude, rock music, and enough confidence to make even Sega believe they could defeat Nintendo. But over the next 30 years, Sonic's journey would become one of gaming's wildest evolutions. From legendary classics to cursed redesigns, internet memes, massive comebacks, and Hollywood movies, buckle up. This is going to be a wild journey. This is the complete history of Sonic the Hedgehog. Back in the early 1990s, Sega wanted a new hero powerful enough to defeat Mario and sell over 1 million copies. Their old mascot, Alex Kidd, simply was not enough anymore. So, Sega's developers began throwing around ideas. A wolf, a bulldog, a rabbit with stretchy ears, even a mustached man in pajamas. But one design stood out above the rest. A blue hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog was originally called Mr. Hedgehog, though many English-speaking fans later mistranslated the name as Mr. Needle Mouse. At first, the character looked very different with tiny spikes and a round body. Sega soon changed his color to dark blue to match the company logo, while his iconic red and white shoes were inspired by both Michael Jackson and Santa Claus. Somehow, that combination actually worked. The team almost gave him names like Ryupi or LS for light-speeded, but eventually settled on the perfect name, Sano Zahido, aka Sonic the Hedgehog, a name built for speed. Even Sonic's attitude had inspiration behind it. Artist Naoto Oshima said Sonic's confident personality was inspired by former US President Bill Clinton. With the character finally created, a small group of developers known as Team Sonic started building Sonic's first adventure. They gave him blazing speed and the ability to curl into a ball like a real hedgehog to smash through enemies. Some early ideas were pretty strange, though. Sonic was once planned to have a human girlfriend named Madonna and even play in a band. Sega of America hated the idea, and after heated arguments, it was removed. Somewhere in another universe, Sonic is collecting Grammys instead of rings. Still, music remained a huge part of Sonic's success. The original game soundtrack was composed by Masaru Nakamura from the band Dreams Come True. And technically, Sonic's very first appearance was not even in his own game. In 1990, players could spot him hanging from a rear-view mirror in the racing game Rad Mobile, giving players their very first glimpse of the character who would soon become Sega's biggest legend. On June 23, 1991, Sonic the Hedgehog raced onto store shelves for the Sega Mega Drive, known in the US as the Sega Genesis, and completely changed Sega's future. Players raced through colorful zones at insane speed, collecting rings, saving animals, and stopping the evil Dr. Eggman from using the powerful Chaos Emeralds for world domination. Remember that pajama-wearing mustache man? Yeah. Well, he ended up becoming the series bad guy. Talk about a career change. Younger fans may know him better as Dr. Eggman, which was his he ended up becoming the series bad guy. Talk about a career change. Younger fans may know him better as Dr. Eggman, which was his original name in Japan, while Sega of America changed his name to Dr. Ivo Robotnik. What made Sonic feel so different was speed. While most platformers focused on jumping, Sonic encouraged players to blast through levels as fast as possible. Loops, springs, ramps, and enemies flew past in seconds, creating a style of gameplay that felt completely fresh at the time. Interestingly, the original version was so fast that creator Yuji Naka reportedly suffered from motion sickness because of the game's high speed. As a result, the final game had to be slowed down. Yes, Sonic was literally too fast for his own creator. Players could also collect all 6 Chaos Emeralds through special stages to unlock the game's good ending. 7 animal friends were also introduced, including Flicky, who already had an arcade game 7 years before Sonic. The gamble paid off massively across all platforms. The original game sold over 40 million copies, becoming not only one of the best-selling video games ever made, but also one of the greatest of all time. Sonic was the ultimate mascot to promote the faster Sega Mega Drive. With the legendary slogan, Genesis does what Nintendo don't. What Nintendo don't. Sonic quickly became Sega's answer to Mario during the brutal console war with Nintendo. Sega finally had what they wanted, a mascot fast enough to challenge Mario himself. And this was just the start. Fun fact, the underwater stage revealed that Sonic cannot swim. This came from Yuji Naka mistakenly believing that real hedgehogs could not swim either, even though they are actually strong swimmers in nature. So yes, Sonic's fear of water is basically built on fake hedgehog propaganda. Just 1 year later, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 arrived, and Sega wanted it bigger, faster, and better in every way. The company even launched the game worldwide on the same day in a huge event called Sonic Tuesday, one of gaming's first major global releases. Music, basically, the gaming version of a worldwide movie premiere. This time, Dr. Eggman planned to use the 7 Chaos Emeralds to power the Death Egg, a giant, music, space station heavily inspired by the Death Star from Star Wars. Sonic also gained one of his most iconic abilities, the Spin Dash, letting players blast forward instantly without slowing down. The sequel became even faster than the original. Bro was running like Eggman leaked his search history. Sonic 2 was also the first Sonic game to introduce music, Super Sonic. By collecting all 7 Chaos Emeralds, Sonic could transform into his golden super form with faster speed and temporary, music, invincibility. The transformation was heavily inspired by the Super Saiyan form from Dragon Ball Z, Screaming. The sequel also introduced a new sidekick, Miles Prow, better known as Tails. The two-tailed fox quickly became Sonic's, music, best friend and one of gaming's most iconic duos. Players could even team up in co-op or race each other in split-screen multiplayer. Friendships were tested, controllers were sacrificed. The soundtrack also returned with music from Sado Nakamura. Sega nearly replaced him with cheaper in-house music, but the team thought the replacement tracks sounded terrible and made sure Nakamura was hired no matter the cost. Some decisions are just too important for humanity. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was another massive success, even breaking sales records, selling 1 million copies and grossing $50 million in a single day in the United States. Total, over 7.5 million copies were sold. More importantly, Sonic 2 proved Sonic was not just a lucky hit. Sega now had a true gaming icon powerful enough to stand beside Mario. The Blue Hedgehog was here to stay, and his success exploded beyond games. Archie Comics created the longest-run video game comic series ever, while Sonic also starred in multiple animated shows. Then in 1993, Sega Sonic the Hedgehog brought Sonic into arcades with a much harder adventure. Unlike the side-scrolling Genesis games, it used an isometric view and even supported up to 3 players at once. Players raced through dangerous levels packed with spikes, fire, and deadly traps while trying to escape Dr. Eggman's exploding island. The game also introduced 2 new characters alongside Sonic the Hedgehog, Mighty the Armadillo, and Ray the Flying Squirrel. Thanks to its impressive animations, the game was heavily praised with Electronic Gaming Monthly even giving it a perfect 10 out of 10 score. Though the real challenge was surviving the game without rage quitting in public. Fun fact, that same year, Sonic the Hedgehog made history as the first video game character turned into a balloon for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Unfortunately, it turned into a disaster when strong winds slammed Sonic into a lamppost, piercing his eye and injuring a man and a little girl as the giant balloon deflated. The lamppost somehow defeated Sonic before Eggman ever could. 1993 was a wild year for Sonic the Hedgehog as he also made the jump from cartridges to CDs with the release of Sonic Music CD for the Sega CD. The game introduced 2 major characters who would become huge parts of the franchise, Amy Rose and Metal Sonic, a robotic version of Sonic created by Dr. Eggman. Most of the adventure took place on the mysterious little planet, where Sonic traveled through time to stop Eggman from using the powerful time stones for world domination. Players could switch between the past and future, making Sonic CD one of the most unique Sonic games at the time. Sonic also gained a new move called the Super Peel-Out. The game was praised for its graphics and creative gameplay, although the North American soundtrack caused heavy controversy after replacing the original Japanese music. Still, it was a success, becoming the best-selling Sega CD game. Fun fact, or more like a creepy fact. By entering a secret code, players could unlock a disturbing hidden screen with creepy music and Japanese text roughly translating to "fun is infinite." A mistranslation involving the word Majin, meaning evil spirit, made it even more unsettling, eventually turning it into one of Sonic's most famous creepypastas, probably traumatizing a few kids along the way. Then it was time for Sonic the Hedgehog 3 for the Sega Genesis, continuing right after Sonic 2, with Drive Eggman crash landing the damaged Death Egg onto the mysterious Angel Island. Here, players were introduced to one of Sonic's most legendary rivals, Knuckles the Echidna. And yes, he punches Super Sonic out of his transformation. Absolute menace. Tricked by Dr. for Eggman, Knuckles stole the Chaos Emeralds and became a major obstacle throughout the adventure. Players could once again control Sonic the Hedgehog or Tails while racing through larger and more ambitious levels than ever before. Later that same year, Sega released Sonic and Knuckles, which was originally planned as part of Sonic 3 before development problems forced the game to be split in half. By connecting both cartridges together, players could experience the full adventure as Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Sega basically created DLC before DLC even existed. The game received huge praise, with many critics calling it the best Sonic game yet, and it was a commercial success, too, selling over 4 million copies combined. Fun fact, according to a game tester, the special stages originally told players to get blue balls instead of get blue spheres. Yeah, Sega realized that mistake just in time. In late 1996, Sonic the Hedgehog finally entered the world of 3D. Well, sort of. Instead of true 3D gameplay like Super Mario 64, Sonic 3D Blast used an angled isometric view that only looked 3D. It was basically Sonic saying, "Mom, can we have 3D?" And Sega replying, "We already have 3D at home." Released for the Sega Genesis and Sega Saturn, the game took players to Flicky Island, where Sonic rescued colorful birds called Flickies while searching for the Chaos Emeralds. Players explored large stages, defeated enemies, and guided Flickies to the goal. The game looked impressive for its time and became one of Sega Saturn's best-selling games, but many critics felt the slower gameplay did not feel truly Sonic, which is not great when your mascot is literally famous for running faster than the speed of sound. And that was a huge problem for Sega because while Sonic struggled to fully enter the 3D era, Crash Bandicoot was exploding on PlayStation and Mario had already changed platform gaming forever. Sonic was starting to fall behind. Then Sonic the Hedgehog finally made the leap into full 3D with Sonic Adventure on the new Dreamcast console. But to make the jump into 3D, Sonic had to be completely redesigned so the character would not look weird. It also meant that instead of a side view, the camera was now behind Sonic. As a result, Sonic's quills were doubled in size and made sharper. His nose, arms, and legs were stretched, and he was given more angles. In other words, the chubby hedgehog was put on a diet. Sonic's fur also became a darker shade of blue, and his eyes were turned green to contrast with his skin. For inspiration, Yuji Yukawa turned to Dragon Ball Z. Sonic transformed from a cute mascot into a more edgy and modern hero for the 3D era. Released worldwide in 1999, Sonic Adventure followed Sonic and his friends as Dr. Eggman unleashed Chaos, a powerful creature connected to the Master Emerald, hoping to use its power to build his own Robotnik land. For this adventure, players could control powerful characters including Sonic, Tails, Knuckles the Echidna, Amy Rose, E102 Gamma, and Big the Cat, whose finishing levels would become a nightmare for many players. Unlike earlier Sonic games, Sonic Adventure mixed fast action stages with large explorable hub worlds called adventure fields. Players could discover new areas, solve puzzles, and unlock upgrades as the story progressed. The new formula, graphics, soundtrack, and fast, enjoyable gameplay were heavily praised. Although the frame rate issues and camera received criticism at times, the camera fought Sonic harder than Dr. Eggman did. Despite its flaws, Sonic Adventure sold nearly 2.5 million copies and became the Dreamcast's best-selling game. In 2003, it was released on GameCube entitled Sonic Adventure DX. And to this day I still love it on GameCube. For Sonic's 10th anniversary, Sega released Sonic Adventure 2 in 2001. The game expanded everything fans loved about the first adventure while introducing two characters who would become huge parts of the franchise, Shadow the Hedgehog and Rouge the Bat. This time the story was split between hero and dark campaigns. Players could fight for Sonic's team or join Shadow and Dr. Eggman, with each character having their own skills suited for different stage types, including high-speed action, shooting, and hunting stages. The marketing went unhinged, too. One ad parodied Jurassic Park by lowering a cow into Shadow's cage, followed by screams, blood, and Shadow burping afterward. Yes, this was somehow a real Sonic commercial. Critics absolutely loved the game. With a score of 89 on Metacritic, it became one of the highest-rated Sonic games ever. But it also marked the end of an era. Shortly after release, the Dreamcast failed, forcing Sega to leave the console business entirely. What once seemed impossible was now reality. Sonic had arrived on Nintendo consoles. Ironically, the GameCube version, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, even sold far more copies than the original. Sega fans in the 9S would never have believed Sonic would one day survive thanks to Nintendo. The adventure games even inspired Music, a popular Sonic anime called Sonic X. Fans praised the show for staying faithful to the games. With 78 episodes, it even became the longest-running Sonic TV series ever. Fun fact, Sonic X introduced fans to Nazo, a mysterious blue gay hedgehog shown in a concept art trailer, but somehow he didn't appear in the show. Sega never explained the character for years, leading fans to create countless theories and animations before Takashi Iizuka later revealed he was simply a scrapped version of Super Sonic. After Sega left the console business, Sonic suddenly appeared everywhere. The next game, Sonic Heroes, launched on PC, GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox. The console war was over, and Sonic had basically joined every side possible. Instead of controlling just Sonic, players switched between entire teams like Team Sonic, Team Dark, Team Rose, and Team Chaotix. Each with their own abilities and play styles. With so many playable characters, Sonic Heroes even earned a Guinness World Record for having the most playable characters in a platform game. Critics praised the fast gameplay, colorful visuals, and classic Sonic feeling. Although the camera and voice acting received heavy criticism, even with mixed reviews, the game sold 3.4 million copies worldwide, proving Sonic could still succeed without Sega making consoles. Fun fact, McDonald's started giving away Sonic toys and Happy Meals during the 1990s, and still continues to do so today. One of the franchise's most infamous commercials came years later in Pakistan while promoting Sonic Heroes. The ad became legendary for looking absolutely ridiculous. Sonic Skateboard and Emmy Dennis. Then things took a very strange turn. In 2005, Shadow the Hedgehog got his own game on Xbox, PlayStation 2, and GameCube with the tagline, Hero or Villain. Players followed Shadow as he searched for his lost memories while an alien army called the Black Arms invaded Earth. Sega pushed Sonic into a much darker direction with guns, swearing, and edgy storytelling, but fans and critics hated it. The game scored only 45 on Metacritic and was heavily criticized for its awkward controls and bizarre tone. Oh boy, maybe I'll do a game episode of Shadow for laughs. Game Informer even called it a betrayal to longtime fans. Ouch. And somehow things were about to get even worse. In 2006, Sega tried to reboot Sonic for the franchise's 15th anniversary with a game simply called Sonic the Hedgehog, now better known as Sonic 06. But during development, Sonic co-creator Yuji Naka left Sega and things quickly started falling apart. The game was supposed to bring Sonic back to greatness with a more realistic world and gameplay inspired by the adventure games. Instead, it became one of the biggest disasters in gaming music history. The story followed Sonic, Shadow, and newcomer Silver through the city of Salana, where Princess Elise guarded the dangerous flames of disaster. Naturally, Dr. Eggman wanted that power for himself. But the real flames of disaster was releasing this game in the first place. The game featured multiple story campaigns, upgrades, co-op, and battle modes. On paper, it sounded huge. In reality, rushed development turned it into a disaster with many fans calling it the worst Sonic game ever made. While the soundtrack was praised, everything else was criticized. The game was filled with glitches, awkward storytelling, and painfully long loading times. The game was filled with glitches, awkward storytelling, and painfully long loading times. Princess Elise and Silver also received heavy backlash. Even though the game sold over 2 million copies, it received a brutal 46 on Metacritic. One review even called it the rock bottom of the franchise. Sonic's big comeback had turned into a complete disaster. Then something happened that no one saw coming. Mario and Sonic teamed up in Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. After years of rivalry, Sega and Nintendo finally worked together, basically ending one of gaming's biggest wars. Someone at Sega probably just asked, "Hey, what if Mario and Sonic stopped fighting and started playing table tennis together?" Players could compete in Olympic events using characters from both franchises. From Sonic and Shadow to Mario and Luigi, what's wild is that while this was just a spin-off title for Sonic, it became one of the best-selling Sonic games ever made. Turns out adding Mario to your game is basically a cheat code. The game sold over 10 million copies and started an music, entire Mario and Sonic Olympics series. Fun fact, want to know something insane? Sonic has appeared in well over 100 official games. The Hedgehog has done racing, fighting, Olympic sports. Sega basically looked at Sonic and said, "Yeah, let's make him do literally everything." There was no way we could fit every spin-off into this video. Otherwise, this evolution would last longer than Sonic 06 loading screens. Speaking of spin-off titles, Sega also experimented with the Sonic Storybook series on the Nintendo Wii. The first adventure, Sonic and the Secret Rings, threw Sonic into the world of Arabian Nights, where he teamed up with the genie Shara to stop the evil erasers in. Familiar characters returned in funny new roles, too, like Tails as Alibaba and Knuckles as Sinbad the Sailor. Sega followed it up with Sonic and the Black Knight in 2009. This time placing Sonic in the world of King Arthur and introducing a new form called Excalibur Sonic. By now, Sega was just throwing Sonic into random universes and hoping for the best. Despite the creative ideas, both games received mixed reviews because of awkward motion controls and messy storytelling. After the disaster of Sonic 06, Sega tried to save the franchise once again with the next major Sonic installment, music, Sonic Unleashed. At this point, the franchise was fighting for its life harder than Sonic fights Eggman. By day, the game finally gave fans the fast Sonic gameplay we'd been begging for. But by night, Sonic transformed into the Warhog, turning the game into a beat-em-up. The story followed Sonic trying to repair a shattered world after Dr. Eggman unleashed the ancient monster Dark Gaia. Along the way, Sonic teamed up with a new sidekick named Chip. Critics were divided over the Warhog sections, but the fast daytime levels, music, and visuals received praise. Fans especially loved it, giving it an impressive 8.5 user score. And even today, many consider it one of their favorite Sonic games. While critics were not too impressed, for many fans, the game marked the beginning of Sonic's comeback. In 2010, Sega released Sonic Colors for the Wii and DS. This time, Dr. Eggman opened a giant space amusement park secretly powered by kidnapped alien creatures called Wisps. The Wisps gave Sonic brand new powers, while the fast gameplay, colorful worlds, and soundtrack helped turn Colors into another comeback for modern Sonic. The Wisps gave Sonic brand new powers, while the fast gameplay, colorful worlds, and soundtrack helped turn Colors into another comeback for modern Sonic. IGN even called it the best Sonic game of this generation while the game sold over 2 million copies. With Sonic finally speeding in the right direction again, Sega celebrated the Blue Blur's 20th anniversary with Sonic Generations in 2011. After the mysterious Time Eater kidnaps Sonic friends, modern Sonic teams up with classic Sonic to race through iconic stages from across the franchise, including Green Hill Zone, Chemical Plant, and City Escape. The game was basically a giant nostalgia trip moving at the speed of sound. Classic Sonic played like the old side-scrolling games, while modern Sonic focused on fast-paced 3D gameplay. Fans and critics praised the game with IGN giving it an 8.5. Generations sold over 4 million copies and became one of the biggest successes of Sonic's modern era. Fun fact, in 2011, a creepy online story called Sonic.exe began spreading across the internet, telling the tale of a haunted Sonic game linked to disturbing paranormal events. The following year, a fan game titled Sonic.exe was released featuring a demonic Sonic with bloody eyes. It quickly became one of the franchise's most famous internet memes. But just when it looked like Sonic was fully back, Sega stumbled again. Sonic returned in another TV series with Sonic Boom, introducing new characters like Styx the Badger. While the show itself received praise, it also launched a new spin-off game series, including Sonic Boom, Rise of Lyric, and oh boy, things went horribly wrong. The game became the worst-rated Sonic title ever, crashing to a disastrous 32. Reviewers called it the absolute worst Sonic video game, while others were shocked Sega had somehow made something even worse than Sonic 06. One player said, "I hate this game with a passion," while another claimed it should be in the fiery depths of hell. One review even said the game was so bad it should bankrupt Sega, which is probably not the kind of boom Sega was hoping for. I did a review of it and I liked it as well. After the disaster of Sonic Boom, Sega tried taking Sonic in a new direction with Sonic Lost World for Wii U and 3DS. This time, Sonic faced the Deadly Six, a group of alien villains trying to drain the world's energy from a strange planet called the Lost Hacks. The game mixed 2D and 3D gameplay while adding parkour mechanics that let Sonic run across walls and obstacles. Wisps also returned from Sonic Colors. While the colorful visuals received praise, many players disliked the new movement system and controls, leading to mixed reviews. Once again, Sonic was desperate for another comeback. For Sonic's 25th anniversary, Sega released 2 new Sonic games. The first was Sonic Mania in 2017, and fans instantly loved it. Instead of trying to reinvent Sonic again, Mania brought him back to his 2D roots with fast gameplay, remastered classic zones like Green Hill and Chemical Plant, and brand new stages. The game followed Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles battling Dr. Eggman and his robot minions, the hard-boiled heavies, over a mysterious new power source. Players could also collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds to unlock Super Sonic, Super Tails, and Super Knuckles, letting them, music, blast through levels at insane speeds, while rings vanished faster than Sonic's dignity during the Sonic 06 era. Even better, Sega hired longtime Sonic fan developers like Christian Whitehead alongside Headcanon and Pagoda West Games, who had spent years making fan projects and improving classic Sonic games. Sonic fans were now literally helping to create an official Sonic game, proving Sega had finally started listening to the community again, which for Sonic fans felt rarer than finding all 7 Chaos Emeralds. The result was a massive comeback. Sonic Mania became the best-selling Sonic game in over a decade, eventually selling over 6 million copies. Many fans considered it one of the best 2D Sonic games ever made, while Metacritic recorded an impressive score of 86. Fun fact, riding the success of Sonic Mania, Sega released a 2D animated miniseries called Sonic Mania Adventures on Sonic's official YouTube channel. Fans loved it and the series exploded to over 100 million views. And this was just the beginning, as the Blue Blur would soon become a Hollywood star. The second game announced for Sonic's 25th anniversary was Sonic Forces, released later that same year. This time, our spiky protagonist joined a resistance force to save the world from Dr. Eggman and a powerful new villain named Infinite, as seen in Sonic Generations. Gameplay switched between classic Sonic and modern Sonic, while also introducing a customizable avatar character created by the player. But just as Sonic seemed to have redeemed itself with Mania, Forces stumbled again. While the visuals received praise, repetitive gameplay and boss fights, mostly seen in previous titles, led to disappointment, with the game receiving a weak 57 score. But I still like it. At this point, Sonic's review scores were becoming a roller coaster. In 2019, Paramount revealed the first trailer for the live-action Sonic movie. Instead of celebrating, fans were horrified. Sonic's design looked nothing like the character they knew. Human teeth, tiny eyes, and strange proportions, the internet exploded with criticism. Memes flooded social media, and even Sonic co-creator Yuji Naka spoke out against the design. The backlash became so massive that Paramount delayed the movie and completely redesigned Sonic. Sonic had spent nearly 30 years fighting Drive Eggman, only to be defeated by a mirror. When the new trailer arrived, fans were relieved. This time, Sonic actually looked like Sonic. Humanity had won. The gamble paid off. The movie became a huge success, earning over $320 million worldwide and turning the Blue Blur into a Hollywood star. Fun fact, the original design became so infamous that fans nicknamed it Ugly Sonic. Years later, the character even appeared in a cameo in Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. After the success of the first film, Sonic returned in 2022 with an even bigger adventure. This time, Sonic teamed up with Tails, while Dr. Robotnik returned with a powerful new ally, Knuckles. The sequel leaned much more heavily into the games, introducing the Chaos Emeralds, larger action scenes, and fan, music, favorite characters. People loved it. The film earned over $400 million worldwide, and became one of the most successful video game movies ever made. Not bad for a franchise that nearly got cancelled by a set of human teeth. Fun fact, Kid Cudi recorded the song Stars in the Sky for the movie because he was a huge Sonic fan. He even rented an entire theater so fans could watch the film with him for free. After Sonic became more popular than ever thanks to the movies, Sega took another big risk in 2022 with Sonic Frontiers. Following the disappointment of Sonic Forces, the series moved in a completely new direction. This time, Sonic found himself stranded on the mysterious Starfall Islands after he, Tails, and Amy were pulled into cyberspace. To save his friends, Sonic had to explore vast landscapes, uncover ancient secrets, and battle gigantic enemies known as Titans. Unlike previous games, Frontiers gave players the freedom to explore huge open areas filled with rails, springs, puzzles, boss fights, and collectibles. It was basically Sonic unleashed into a giant playground. Sonic could also upgrade his abilities and travel across the islands however players wanted. The game was praised as a bold new step for the franchise, though critics pointed to repetitive missions and technical issues. Still, fans were far more positive and Frontiers became a commercial success. Sonic had finally found a new direction that was not a wall. 1 year later, Sega brought Sonic back to his 2D roots with Sonic Superstars. Set on the North Star Islands, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy teamed up to stop Dr. Eggman and the returning Fong the Hunter, who had not appeared in a major Sonic game for decades. The game combined classic side-scrolling gameplay with modern 2.5D visuals, 4 playable characters, and multiplayer. It also marked the return of Sonic co-creator Naoto Oshima, who had not worked on a Sonic game since Sonic Adventure. While critics enjoyed the classic gameplay, many felt it could not match the heights of Sonic Mania. The game received mixed reviews and sold well, though sales were lower than expected due to competition from Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Some rivalries just never end. In 2024, Shadow had his biggest year yet. Sega even declared it the Year of Shadow, with Sonic X Shadow Generations leading the celebration. Released across multiple consoles, the game paired a remaster of Sonic Generations with an all-new Shadow campaign. This time, Shadow revisited key moments from his past while facing Black Doom, the alien warlord connected to his creation. Because therapy apparently was not an option. Unlike Sonic's Adventure, Shadow's story featured a large hub world inspired by Sonic Frontiers and new Doom powers that let him freeze time, glide through the air, and destroy enemies in new ways. Fans loved the darker story and gameplay. Critics gave it an 80, while Steam users were even more enthusiastic, giving it overwhelmingly positive reviews. Turns out fans really like Shadow when he is not carrying a gun. And the Year of Shadow was far from over. Later that year, Shadow made his movie debut in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, voiced by Keanu Reeves. Because if you're going to cast Shadow, you might as well hire John Wick. Inspired by Sonic Adventure 2, the story followed Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles as they faced their most dangerous rival, yet while uncovering Shadow's tragic past. Jim Carrey returned as Dr. Robotnik and his grandfather, Gerald Robotnik. The movie was praised for its darker story, Shadow's introduction, and Cars' performance. It became the biggest Sonic movie ever, earning nearly $500 million worldwide. Few franchises can break their own box office record 3 movies in a row, but Sonic somehow pulled it off. The Blue Blur had officially become a box office speedrunner. Fun fact, Sonic did not just become a movie star. In 2022, he also raced onto Netflix with Sonic Prime, an animated series that ran for 3 seasons. Apparently, saving the world is only Sonic's part-time job. And Sonic's Hollywood journey is far from over. Sonic the Hedgehog 4 is already scheduled for 2027, with Amy Rose and Metal Sonic set to make their big screen debut. Somehow, Sonic's movie universe is now expanding faster than the games. The film is expected to take inspiration from Sonic CD. While Keanu Reeves returns as Shadow, Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik, and Kristen Bell as Amy Rose.
And there you have it, the complete history of Sonic the Hedgehog. Luckily, I covered all the Sonic games so far. A hell lot to be exact, though we weren't counting on the Tiger Ugly designs as well, so that'll be a shocker. So, in this Spider Bot, how could I forget about that? There have been 114 games so far, over 250 million copies sold, and there have been 4 movies, 3 on Paramount Plus, and over $17 billion sold. Yeah, money. So how about that? So yeah, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Definitely subscribe if you're new here, and make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. So I'll see you all in my next video.
Hit subscribe! And don't forget to press the bell icon, you miserable bandicoots!